Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope if you were in Florida, you ain't no more. I hope you are evacuating if you should. And if you maybe should, you're still evacuating. It looks terrible down there. So we're praying for all of y'all. But the rest of y'all, hang tight and get ready to send thoughts, prayers, donations, support, whatever. Hurricane Milton is looking pretty rough. I'm Jenny Gallagher with Joyful Heart, Healthcare and Keto Nurses, and we're going to talk about something I can't believe I haven't talked about before. I looked back through all of my videos the other day, and not one time have we discussed gluten-free versus grain-free. And I was like, I can't believe I've never done this. So that's our topic today. We're going to discuss gluten-free versus grain-free. So I have loads of patients that are gluten-free, but what does that really mean? And what's the difference in gluten-free and grain-free? So that's what we're going to discuss today. Good morning, Debbie Brown. We'll give everybody a minute to see their notification and get set up. I've been up a little while, already working. So I'm almost out of my butter coffee today, but I have my water ready. So good morning, y'all. How's everybody out there today? How's the weather where y'all are? It is 51 and chilly. I even had to put my jacket on inside because we haven't turned the heat on yet. We're not fans of the heat. We'd rather be a little chilly. So, good morning, good morning. Questions about gluten-free, grain-free, questions about why, questions about what it means, like any kind of questions y'all have, feel free to type those in the comments. You can feel free to hit the share button. After we're done, you can copy and paste the link to someone in a private message or even in a text if you want to share that way. But we're going to talk gluten-free versus grain-free. So first off, we got to back up a little bit and define a few words. So first off, what is gluten? The first thing we have to understand is that, let's see. Debbie says prayers for Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, and yeah, totally, I get it. It looks really rough out there. Yesterday morning, early when I first saw whether Hurricane Milton was a Cat 1 and by lunch it was a Cat 5. I've never seen a hurricane develop that fast into a Cat 5. Never. And I've lived a long, long time. I'm old and I get it. I vividly remember lots about Hurricane Camille when I was a little bitty girl. And of course, as we've watched lots of other hurricanes and seen history about Hurricane Camille, I've learned more about Camille. So, yeah, I've never seen a hurricane develop that strong, that fast. So Milton is going to be a booger. Anyway, let's define gluten so we understand what gluten is and why it's a problem. So we're talking gluten-free versus grain-free. So gluten is a protein that is a problem for some people to digest. So if you think about other things that people consume, peanut butter. Some people have a peanut butter allergy. Why? Because there are certain proteins in that peanut butter that trigger an allergic response. Okay? If you are allergic to eggs, why? There's a certain protein in that egg that triggers an allergic response. So for people that have celiac disease and a confirmed allergy to gluten, that protein, that gluten, triggers an allergic response. Now, not everyone that eats gluten-free is always allergic, okay? So on the spectrum of allergic to not allergic, you have a wide variety of responses that a body can have. So you can be, to gluten specifically, most people are not deathly allergic. It causes severe illness, mostly very bad belly upset. Usually it's terrible belly cramping, usually diarrhea, sometimes even bloody stool is associated with severe celiac disease. Malnutrition often is a severe result of long-term celiac disease that goes on before it's discovered, before it's found out, because a lot of people are embarrassed or not able to convey what's going on with their digestion, especially kids, youngsters that are having trouble with their bowels. They won't describe it. They won't tell their parents, their teachers, their nurses, their doctors. They won't explain it, or they don't know how. And so a lot of times celiac disease goes undetected for a long, long time, not just a few months, but often a few years. And so a lot of times these patients have really wrecked digestive tracts before celiac disease is found. So that's the worst end of the allergic response, is terrible, terrible, terrible digestive symptoms, causing severe malnutrition, maybe bleeding, maybe all sorts of diarrhea, loose stool, malabsorption, all the way over to absolutely no problems whatsoever. Nobody's allergic, nobody's having problems over here, it doesn't bother you. But all the way in between that is this huge spectrum of what we call sensitivities. That doesn't mean you're allergic. It just means that for some people, gluten or some of those grains that contain gluten cause various reactions. Sometimes they're not even in the gut. Take me, for instance. When I eat wheat products, I have hip pain. My left hip arthritis, my osteoarthritis, old age arthritis, my degenerative hip arthritis flares up. Okay? That's not an allergy to wheat. That is a sensitivity because the wheat triggers an inflammatory process, so I avoid wheat. Okay? I avoid most grains all the time anyway. But if I am in a restaurant or a crowd, a big family gathering, church gathering, I might not know everything that's in a food product, and so I might take a chance eating certain things and not know it has a grain in it. Okay? If it has any chance of having wheat, I'm not going to consume it because of the pain associated with wheat intake for me. It usually lasts about 10 to 14 days. I don't want to limp that long. So I choose to avoid wheat at all costs. Other grains I'm not as sensitive to. So if there's a food at a church dinner or restaurant or something, I might have a little bit of something that's a riskier food. I'm just not going to eat a ton of it if I think it might have something in it I shouldn't have. But it's not going to be a risk because of the grain or the gluten causing my hip pain. It's going to raise inflammation maybe. It's going to raise my glucose. It's going to raise my insulin. But I know how to get those down. Like I can work on that later. Okay? So that's different. Gluten causes severe reactions for some. Sometimes the gluten or the grain products will trigger sore throats, allergy symptoms, sinus allergy responses. I have patients all the time when they come and see me either video or in person, they'll tell me about their seasonal allergies. One of my first questions is always, well, have you ever tried to eliminate those foods from your diet? And they're like, what foods? The foods you're allergic to. If you're allergic to plants out there in nature, have you eliminated them from your dietary intake? And they look at me like I have three heads. because that thought has never crossed their minds. But if you're allergic to pollen from the trees, flowers, and vegetables, and you eliminate that food from your diet, guess what happens when the pollen gets activated the next season? You're less likely to react. It's a simple math equation. You take away the reaction, the allergen, you remove the reaction. Okay? So understanding where the problem comes from is key. There comes the train. I don't know if it's going to scream when it goes by. So gluten is a protein that causes a variety of allergic to sensitive reactions among people. Okay? Usually it's a gut problem, and for some people it's an inflammation problem, and it will impact various symptoms. For some people it's a skin problem, eczema, psoriasis, those kinds of things. Sometimes it is hair falling out. I have lots of patients with thinning and falling hair. And they struggle to get hair loss under control. We work on iron, we work on thyroid, we work on vitamin D, we work on inflammation, but until they give up grains, they often won't see any improvement in their hair loss because gluten is causing a problem for them. Okay? Alicia says, do sensitivities ever cause muscle tightness or knotting up? Yep, it sure does. For many patients, because every system can react to the inflammation. We don't know which system is impacted by which gluten product in individual people. There's not a ton of studies done to investigate that because there's no money to be made by Big Pharma in general. Because if you just take the gluten out, remove the grain products, we fix the problem. So there's no medicine to fix that. So I will tell you that removing gluten is not the same as removing grains. So I have a lot of patients. They come to me after doing some research. They've been following different groups or pages on social media. They follow various healthcare providers or various gurus and experts on various social media platforms. And so different people have different opinions. I am more science-based. I'm going to look at the data. I'm going to find research. I'm going to find books and authors that I trust that have pulled together research. So I'm going to go to the science and I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find data that supports what I teach y'all. And so when I tell y'all that grains cause inflammation, I have boatloads of research and published data that support that. Two of the most common books that I use to support that are Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis and Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter. The newest book out, Drop Acid, is a little bit different because it talks about uric acid as an inflammation marker and includes fructose or fruit as an inflammation driver, not just grains. People don't like it when I say that, but inflammation is driven by sugar just in general, not just gluten or grains. So that is a whole other ball of wax. But those are three great books. If you want to look at the data, they all three have references listed in the back of their book to support the documentation and claims that they make. So you can look up all the research and data you want. You can use Google Scholar, you can use Google, you can use any search engine you want. You can use any term you want and add the letters NIH or PubMed, and you'll find official medical research that supports almost any opinion that you have if you want to find research. But gluten does not impact everybody. in dangerous ways, but it does impact some in dangerous ways. Like I mentioned, gluten can cause severe malabsorption problems for some. If you cannot absorb the food you're consuming, proteins and fats specifically, those are essential to your health, you will become malnourished. Your protein levels will fall. Your body will begin literally destroying muscle from your own body to get amino acids it needs to build new products that you need, to build whatever cells it needs. If it needs new skin cells, if it needs a new heart cell, a new muscle cell, a new bone cell, your body will take muscle if it needs that. So it's really important that your gut work properly, and gluten impairs gut function a lot. So where do we find gluten? Well, it's in a lot of foods, a lot of grains. So one of the things I teach patients is it's easier to be grain-free than gluten-free. And the main reason I teach people to be grain-free is because gluten-free products, if you go into the store and you say, okay, I'm going to eliminate gluten, I'm going to buy some gluten-free stuff, what you buy is going to be a bunch of processed food that has very poor nutrient density, no nutritional value, and all they're doing is putting other grains and other carbohydrates in. Often gluten-free products have higher carb content than their grained product, and they often contain extra preservatives and extra unhealthy fats because they're trying to make up for not having the grains in them. What does gluten do? It is glue. It literally, if you've ever tried to make a low-carb bread and you used to make regular wheat-based bread, you know the difference. Literally, low-carb bread crumbles in your hands as you're trying to knead it. As you're rolling it around, it just doesn't hold together well. Gluten is the glue to various grain-based products. It literally works to hold and bind the ingredients together. And so that protein is hazardous to a lot of people in various ways. Not everyone's allergic. Like I explained before, some people are just sensitive in a variety of ways. For some people, it's a mild sensitivity that doesn't cause much trouble. And for others, it's a pretty severe reaction. No matter the reaction to the gluten that your body has, you still have a glucose response, an insulin response, and remember that all grains, glutened or not, break down into phytates, and phytates block iron and protein absorption. They block other nutrients as well, but those are the two main things that we absolutely have to have for survival. We have to have iron, we have to absorb protein. So if we're reviewing lab results for you and your protein levels continue to run on the lower end of the range, they're just not coming up, then one of the things you may want to reevaluate is your grain intake. How many grains are you consuming and how often? If you consume grains even twice a month, every 2 weeks, it takes about 2 weeks for that grain and inflammation response to clear your system. So even if you're having grain servings on occasion, the phytates from those occasional grain intakes are blocking nutrient absorption for almost 2 full weeks. That's not good for us. That's not healthy at all. So gluten comes in wheat. That's the most common wheat gluten source. So that's why you'll find wheat-free, gluten-free types of products. You'll see pasta that's had wheat removed because that's a real common problem. But wheat, barley, rye, farina, spelt, kamut, wheat berries, farro, couscous, and triticale. All of those are products that contain gluten in their raw form. Now, you might want to avoid those particular products because of gluten. But like I mentioned, other products that are gluten-free are still hazardous to your health. So you want to be really careful. Other products that contain gluten that you might not be aware of include soy sauce. Did y'all know that soy sauce almost always contains a wheat-based ingredient in there? Many barbecue sauces contain wheat. Many of your salad dressings contain wheat or a wheat-based oil. A lot of your marinades, creamed sauces, like if you're using your standard creamed soups, like your cream of mushroom, cream of chicken soup, like all of our old-timey recipes that I used to be really friends with. I used to make boatloads of those casseroles using those soups in my recipes as a young mom, because those were really easy recipes. I used boatloads of those creamed soups. Most of those are full of wheat and other unhealthy ingredients. That's why I produced a recipe that's on my Joyful Heart Facebook page that has a creamed soup feel. So you can use it in substitute for any of your recipes that have that as a listed ingredient, and you can sub it out. You can make your own recipe of your own can of creamed soup using my recipe from that page. A lot of your gravy mixes, a lot of your spice blends. I had no idea when one of our granddaughters was born. She had a wheat allergy. We didn't know it till she was a little bit older, but we found out she had a wheat allergy. We started reading labels. I had no idea that taco mixes, almost all of the gravy mixes, the spice blends, like most of the jars and bottles of shakeable spices that we cooked with, lots of them use wheat as an anti-caking agent. So we had to be cleaning out the cabinet because we couldn't use any of that when we cooked when she was around. So I just got rid of it all for everybody because she was allergic. I wasn't going to have it in the house. I didn't know when she might be there, so I wasn't going to take the chance on using it to cook with. So we got rid of it all. Then we started using individual spices that didn't have those ingredients. So you got to read everything. Malt vinegar contains wheat. So regular acetic acid vinegar does not contain wheat, but malt vinegar does. Some of your ketchup products will contain wheat. So you have to read your labels. Alicia says, do they have to list wheat? They do. And if they prepare that product in a factory that processes wheat, they now have to list. The FDA requires that they list prepared in a facility that processes wheat or other wheat products. So like even oats, for them to say on their label gluten-free, they have to get certified to say that. So if we know oats are gluten-free, like oatmeal is gluten-free just by nature. God made it wheat-free, gluten-free. Okay, there are no gluten molecules in oats. However, if the oats are processed in a plant that makes bread, for instance, or some other wheat-based product, maybe a granola bar, then that oatmeal might be cross-contaminated with wheat. And so some people that have severe celiac could react. So the FDA several years ago mandated that for you to say on a label, for you to stamp gluten-free on there, you have to specify that your facility is wheat-free, gluten-free. So that is a requirement by the FDA. So you can read your labels and be assured if it is gluten-free, it really is. And that's some measure of reassurance. Baked goods, almost every box, bag, processed food, almost everything you buy in the middle of the store is going to have some form of gluten in it, unless it is in that gluten-free health food section. So just avoid them. In the gluten-free section, you still want to be really careful because, like I said, it's still going to raise glucose. It's still going to raise insulin. It's still going to prevent nutrient absorption. None of those products that are labeled gluten-free are good for us. They're just not. If it's something that you want on occasion, okay, then have it once in a while as a treat. Once a year, twice a year, that's one thing. But to have gluten-free bread on a keto diet or a keto bread on a keto diet, that's not beneficial. Those food products are not truly keto. They are not low carb. They are not healthy fats, healthy grains. If you really read the label, you will find out very quickly that they are not healthy products whatsoever. Okay, so you want to read labels very carefully. Even though it says gluten-free, it's not healthy, it's not grain-free, it's not low carb, it's not seed oil-free. It's still very inflammatory and very unhealthy just in general. Okay, watch out for chips. Watch out for some of your energy bars, your snack mixes, your granola bars. Many of them do say gluten-free, but they aren't all grain-free. So be really careful with that. I'm not a big fan of using protein bars, candy bars of any type whatsoever. If you think you are needing those kinds of snacks, then you're not eating healthy food appropriately. You need to reevaluate what you're eating at your meals and let's revamp. Some of your wine coolers, your seltzers, lots of beer, all of those are often grained or grain-based, and so you want to be really careful and avoid those if you're trying to avoid wheat and gluten. Many of your drink mixes contain wheat or various rye, barley, some of your gluten type products. Some of you will not like this idea. How many of you on your keto diets love your lunch meat? Some of your processed deli meats are covered in various sauces and marinades that are soaked in wheat-based, grain-based marinades. So you better be really careful checking every single label. Even some of your processed cheeses, if you're using some of the sliced cheeses already sliced up, American cheeses, some of those do contain wheat or other gluten-based products. Some of your egg substitutes will contain some of these gluten-based products. Some of your French fries and other fried stuff from the freezer section are coated to prevent caking and sticking together. So a lot of those products in the freezer section are covered in a wheat or a gluten-based product. Of course, a lot of your breakfast cereals and soy products, tofu products, plant-based products are covered up in wheat and other gluten products. So you just want to be really aware and careful. Read labels very carefully. Make sure if you are trying to be gluten-free that you're fully aware of the other unhealthy products that are being put in those foods and that you're using them minimally and appropriately to fit your specific health needs, and that you're not just eating them simply because, well, I can have this because it's gluten-free, even though there's 30 grams of carbs in that item and you're still trying to fix your insulin resistance. 30 grams of carbs in one food item is not going to help your insulin resistance. So you have to think about your specific health goals and what you're aiming for. If your only problem is your grain problem, then okay, you can tolerate 30 grams of carbs. But if you're battling low ferritin, insulin resistance, iron dysfunction, protein absorption, other health problems, diabetes, prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, if you're battling metabolic dysfunction, your body can't tolerate that many carbs. It just can't, because those carbs are going to break down to glucose. That glucose is going to raise insulin. That insulin is going to store fat. That fat is going to push on hormones. Those hormones are going to be out of balance even longer. So that's the simple chemistry story, but it's way more complex, and you know that based on your symptoms. So it's really important that you understand the difference between gluten-free and grain-free. Gluten-free is not healthy. Grain-free is the best way to be. That's what it boils down to. Anybody got questions? I have people all the time ask me, well, what do I do instead? We just don't. I don't do bread. We just don't do bread. I probably haven't had bread in 13 years, 12 years. Okay, we just don't do bread. My husband does occasionally buy the keto bread, and he occasionally will have keto toast. It's not low carb, but that's his choice. Okay, he will occasionally make me toast, and it usually sits on my plate and goes in the trash because it's not worth it to me. So we all have to make our choices, and I can't make him eat what's better for him. He gets to make his own choices. So you get to make your own choices. Okay? Know what causes your disease. Know what makes your disease get better, and then just make better choices. That's what it really boils down to. It's a journey. Every day we get to make a choice, and if you mess up today, that's okay. Do something better tomorrow. Debbie says, we love chaffles. Yes, chaffles are great. If you don't know what chaffles are, you can Google chaffles. It's mozzarella and eggs. Some of them even have chicken and mozzarella. Like, you can use all sorts of recipes to make a bread type product. I posted a picture and a reel Saturday. We made pigs in a blanket. I rolled up chopped up weenies. We had hot dogs that we sliced into pieces, and I rolled them up in pizza crust dough that I make. It's a low carb pizza crust that we've been making for close to 10 years. And they're delicious. We've been eating on the leftovers this week. So yeah, there are lots of options. My friend Christy Sullivan has multiple cookbooks. I don't make a dime from pushing her books, but she has some great recipes in her books. This is one of the littlest ones she has, but I like it probably the best because it's crazy busy keto, and all of the recipes in here are very quick and easy to make. Like this one right here, 5-minute lasagna. Like who can beat 5-minute lasagna? Like really? Really? So it's really easy. The back is keto on the go. And so this recipe book is really, really easy. If you want to learn to eat low carb, this is one of the easiest books to use. She's got like 4 or 5 cookbooks. I have all of them, I think. Well, I used to. I loan them out all the time, and sometimes I don't get them back. But great cookbooks. She has websites and a whole cooking community. You can follow her on social media. She's got some great resources if you're just learning, but check her out if you want. Other websites we like are lowcarbyum.com, alldayidreamaboutfood.com. ditchthecarbs.com is now thinlicious.com. Those are the ones that come to my mind right off the bat. And then I have a few recipes on my website, joyfulhearthousecalls.com. So, yeah. Happy fall. I'm out. I'll see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.